Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Standard Definition, the Retro and Nostalgia podcast here on the Boss Rush Network. I am one of your hosts, Corey Dirrig, and alongside me, as always, is the PC Muscle Race, LeRon Dawkins.
What's poppin'?
I was hoping you were going to say on your left. Anyways.
Well, I could say on my left because it's my left fucking knee that's killing me right now.
To be fair, A, that line has not been spoken in the series yet, and B, you're technically on my right. So, it's fine. Also joining us, as always, is the master, the legend himself, Mark Pererra.
On your left.
Actually, you're underneath both of us, so.
Too late. Too late.
I tried.
You did. Valiant effort.
I tried.
You know. Keep that up. You might get your own show someday.
Hey.
That's what they said to Falcon.
And then they gave him the worst show.
Whoa.
In the MCU so far.
Whoa.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
Hands down.
Whoa.
Hands down.
Whoa, that's my favorite show.
I do not know
so
about that. Wait, Corey. We put this guy in charge of Boss Rush Entertainment on the writing side. He's got so much opinions now. I swear.
Look, you give a man a little bit of power. Look what he does with it. Okay.
Precisely.
Also, we're doing an Avengers show right now, and he's got a big old Batman poster behind him. And
I told you.
I know, but
I'm not going to change who I am based on what show we're doing.
The way you're sitting, your head is covering the Marvel box, and nobody can see it. So all they see is this big.
Like this.
All they see is Batman standing on top of Rex. Okay, that's all they see.
I've got this. I'll just sit like this the whole show.
That'd be great. Would be great. Could be another 50 minutes. Could be another 120. I have no idea how long this episode's going to be. Anyways, how's everybody doing? We haven't done a Marvel show in a while, but I'm glad that we are now. It's my favorite.
Mark, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's my fault we haven't done a Marvel show in a while because I've had every disease under the sun, or someone in my house has. This is a problem of having 3 kids under the age of 5. They're just walking cesspools, and they bring home so many diseases, and then you're sick all the time.
It's true. I have 2, and guess what? They are walking booger faucets.
Yeah.
So, anyways. Yeah, so tonight's show is all about the Avengers, the 2012 film directed by Joss Whedon. I felt the entire audience cringe. But in 2012, he was okay, so... But before we get talking Avengers and the plot and our favorite characters and moments and things, we're going to tell everybody about Patreon. That's right, patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. You can support us for just $1 over there, and you get Standard Definition and After Dark 2 weeks early, as well as Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass and the Boss Rush Podcast 1 week early for just $1. But if you subscribe at the $5 tier, you become a Patreon producer. What does that mean? Well, you get your name shouted out on this here show. So, without further ado, our Patreon producers for this episode of Standard Definition are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adriel Munger, and my wife, Sana Dirrig. I want to thank all of our patrons. I want to thank all of our free listeners as well. If you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, remember to leave us a 5-star rating or review. It really helps us out. Now, I know people have asked me about putting the Patreon feed on Spotify. You can't do that through RSS feed. I don't know why Spotify doesn't allow RSS feeds for some reason, but it doesn't. I'm sorry.
You must have read my mind.
Yeah, that is a Spotify problem. Our free feeds are there, but if you want the Patreon kind of overall feed, it is not. So, sorry, everybody. I do suggest using another podcast app for RSS feed. You do not have to use the Patreon app. It is not the best for listening to podcasts, but anyways, we appreciate everybody who listens. Also, we're recording this at the end of May. I'm not sure when this episode is going out. I'm pretty sure it's in June, but we are recording this in May. So just to give everybody a heads up, if you subscribe in June, your name will not be on this list. Apologies. We'll be on future episodes, though. All right. Let's see. Anything that we missed? The merch store. Get your standard definition shirt or mug or sticker or whatever. Your Marvel standard definition logo is up and ready to purchase. Appreciate it if you supported us. It'd be great to see that floating around. But without further ado, we're going to talk about Marvel's Avengers 2012. The superhero team-up of a lifetime featuring iconic Marvel superheroes Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow. When an unexpected enemy emerges that threatens global safety and security, Nick Fury, director of the international peacekeeping agency known as S.H.I.E.L.D., finds himself in need of a team to pull the world back from the brink of disaster. Spanning the globe, a daring recruitment effort begins. This movie had a budget of $220 million, the biggest budget of any Marvel movie to date, as of this release. Not now, obviously.
Oh, I was about to say,
no,
damn.
Out of the previous 6-ish movies, LeRon.
Mm-hmm.
Box office total of $1.52 billion. So I would say it made its money back, and a lot of it probably went to Robert Downey Jr. Overall, this movie was, going back and watching it in 2022, this movie is very quaint, I would say. I mean, every Marvel movie now has like 5 or 6 characters in it at this point. But this was a huge deal when this movie came out. Mark, do you remember seeing the Avengers when it came out? Or
yes, it was a huge deal. Yes, yep.
Yeah,
it was a massive deal.
Yeah, a very rare movie for me to see in the movie theater. I saw this in the theater, and I don't go to the theater a lot. I just don't like the theater. I just don't like the theater. I'd rather be at home.
Yeah, you sound like me, man. Like I am not like a moviegoer, but there are movies I'm guaranteed to go see. Well, there are movies I'm guaranteed to go see in theater. Normally it usually begins with Star and ends with Trek. And there's some other ones, but up until now, I would have said Marvel films are definitely ones I go out and see in theaters now. But yeah, like I do realize now that I have Marvel phase burnout.
I mean,
I've yet to see Eternals, and I haven't gone to see Doctor Strange yet.
Yeah, I'm usually the person who waits to see until it comes to Disney Plus, right? I'll just wait.
Well, they come pretty fast now.
Yeah, it's like 45 days,
They do
I think.
come pretty fast, yeah. I love going to the movies. I mean, I'll go to the movies by myself. I really enjoy the movie-going experience.
Huh. I mean, I understand why. I'm just not that person.
Yep.
I think I could probably tell you the last 3 movies I saw in the theater, and it's around the time they came out. It was, let's see, Deadpool 2, Avengers Endgame, and the latest 007 movie were the last 3 movies I saw in the movie theater. So
wow.
Let's see. The last 3 movies I've seen in theaters was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay, that's this year at least.
Yeah, Candyman and In the Heights.
In the Heights was.
Yes. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I don't think I've heard of any of those movies, LeRon. So,
as much as Stephanie and I have talked about Everything Everywhere All at Once with Michelle Yeoh and the kid that was short round that grew up to be her husband in that movie. We've talked about it quite a few times on.
I remember the short
podcast.
round conversation, but to be fair, when people start talking about movies, I usually Like if it's not on a show like this, I usually kind of like.
I've been movie podcast.
I've been telling everybody I know to watch that film. So I know I told you at least twice to go see that film, and now it's available. It's available now.
Here's the thing.
I think it is. I believe it is. I believe it is.
Here's the thing. I started this version of the show so I could start watching movies that I've never seen. And that's why the first episode was Ghostbusters. And then we haven't really done another movie that I've never seen yet.
So let me ask you this. I guess you watch more television than you ever have done movies in, right?
Not really. I don't watch a lot of TV either.
What do you do?
I raise two kids.
I'm being serious. I'm being serious. I'm not trying to like clown you or anything. What do you do?
My free time usually goes to either my wife and kids, editing podcasts, or video games.
Okay, stop. You haven't seen Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters came out in 84, 85?
I've now seen Ghostbusters.
I have not seen Ghostbusters.
Yeah, but you had not seen Ghostbusters back then.
Mm-mm.
Well, no, you hadn't seen Ghostbusters in the past because I know you're a little younger than I am. Actually, you're still in your 30s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're a lot younger than I am. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll give you that. But I mean, have you seen the Goonies?
No.
You saw the damn Indiana Jones movies, though.
Well, yeah, because Indiana Jones is cool. The Goonies are dumb.
Okay. Marvel Studios presents Paramount Pictures.
So other notable. So 2012 was a pretty big year for movies, and I remember seeing a lot of these in the theater actually back then. Even though I just
don't backtrack now.
This was 2012. Okay. Dark Knight Rises. I had to see that in the theater because I loved The Dark Knight. Hunger Games.
I was in The Dark Knight Rises.
What?
You were?
Yeah.
Save it for after the show. Save it for the end of the. Save it for the end of the show. Save it for the end of the show.
No, yeah. Save it for the end of the segment because I got to hear it. Hunger Games, Prometheus, Brave.
I saw that in theaters.
I've never seen any of the Alien movies either, LeRon.
I mean, I'm not gonna give you any shit about that. Like, you gotta be made of a different material to like want to see the Alien movies.
Brave came out this year. John Carter, which I actually really liked. John Carter. It was. I don't know if you guys ever have seen it, but it's based off a book. It's based off a series of novels from the 1930s. And It's about a Civil War veteran who gets transported to Mars because he finds a wormhole after the war.
I did not like the movie.
And I liked it for what it was. I knew it wasn't going to be big. It was around that time when like Prince of Persia and stuff came out too. Like when Disney was trying to get into PG-13 blockbuster action movies and they just weren't cutting it, so they bought Marvel and Star Wars. And I gotta tell you, man, when I was watching this movie, I thought I was watching Star Wars Episode 2 because half of this movie is him fighting these big, giant bug monsters in an arena. And I'm like, George Lucas totally ripped this book off. Why does nobody talk about this? He totally ripped off this book. But anyways, Snow White and the Huntsman, Men in Black 3, Wrath of the Titans, Wreck-It Ralph, Amazing Spider-Man, The Bourne Legacy, which was the one with what's his name? Hawkeye. Ted. I love that movie too.
I saw Ted in theaters that year.
Dark Shadows, The Hobbit, the first one, Dread, Underworld Awakening, Looper, Zero Dark 30, Lincoln, and The Expendables 2 were the major kind of action movies that came out that year. So
honestly, 2012 was a loaded year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you were in the Dark Knight Rises. Did you fight Batman?
I'm a big Batman fan. And they had the scene where Bane blows up the football stadium. so they had a casting call for extras to be in that scene in Pittsburgh. And so I had a buddy who I hadn't talked to in, I don't know, 20 years, who I knew lived in Pittsburgh. So I messaged him on Facebook and I was like, hey, can I crash at your place for 2 nights? And he was like, who is this? So I flew to Pittsburgh, and the first day I was there, I just followed the production around. Like, I watched them film the scene at the very end of the movie where they're fighting on the steps. Batman and Bane are fighting, and there's like everybody's fighting or whatever. So I watched them film that, and then the day of the football scene, like, it was like a 17-hour day, and I was an extra in that scene. You can't see me in the movie at all, but I held up a sign that says "We Gotham by the balls." And then so the movie takes place in winter, and so I was like, I've got to be like, I don't want it, because they were very strict. They were like, you can't have any logos, you can't have any whatever, you'll be kicked out. So I was like, I want to be authentic to winter, but it filmed in the middle of August, and so I wore like long underwear, pants, snow socks, snow boots, like jackets, scarf, all this stuff. People in between takes, there were girls who they'd yell cut, and they'd take their winter coats off, and they would be in bikinis, and they would just be sunbathing because it was so hot. And I'm here sweating my ass off, doing like being like it's supposed to be winter, and I'm wearing all these winter clothes. But I sat next to a guy whose legal name was Bruce Wayne. He showed me his driver's license, and I won a raffle, and Tom Hardy dressed as Bane. I got to go down onto the field, and he handed me the prize.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was
awesome.
Incredible. It was incredible.
That Tom Hardy, he's quite the actor.
Yeah,
that's cool. I've never.
Yeah, and it was like the first time that people, like, because people were filming it while they were filming. Like, there was like cell phone footage and stuff. It was the first time we heard his like kind of goofy voice, and then they actually grew up the field, which was really cool. And Christopher Nolan was there, and I mean, it was insane. It was insane. They brought, during, like, in breaks, they brought tumblers out onto the field to, like, so that people could look at them and stuff. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I live about 90 minutes from Pittsburgh, and I had no idea they were filming there. So.
Well, I live in Houston, so I flew all the way to.
They did, however, film the Avengers, parts of it, about 20 minutes from where I live. So that's cool.
Really?
And I actually know somebody who was in the Avengers. Which is
that's
cool.
awesome.
We'll get there though. She is so one of my friends from high school, her cousin was trying to become an actress, and I haven't talked to her since this movie came out. I saw her at Thanksgiving that year. And the scene where when they're supposed to be in Germany, and he takes that guy's eyeball and they scan it into the thing. When they go outside, you can very clearly see her. She's the woman in the red dress in the scene. And
That's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was like a really big deal for our small town that she was in the Avengers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was crazy because like we had to go to Cleveland that at some point that weekend for something. I think we went to like, I don't know, we were going to some sporting event up there, and like half the streets were shut down, and we couldn't get to where we needed to go because they were filming. So but it was cool. Anyways, LeRon, how did you feel about the Avengers when it came out? What were your thoughts?
Okay, well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I remember back then thoroughly enjoying the film. Like it definitely got me amped to want to see what's next. For Marvel. So that, in my opinion, that movie did its job. Some of the cool stuff. Because I mean, we're gonna get to our. I think we're gonna get to our favorite moments in a little bit. But overall, I was I was a little upset about some things that did happen in the film, which we'll get to, like the least favorite and the favorite moments as well. But ultimately, like, I feel like it finally like did what they promised to do, which was basically converge like the superheroes into one set thing. And I was ready to see what was next after walking out of the theater. And of course the post credit, the mid credit scene, the mid credit scene, like yeah. Like it had been alluded to, but that mid credit scene was like, yes, we are here for it.
Yeah. We'll talk about it when we get there, but I had no idea why everybody was so excited for that mid credits.
So I guess I guess you were equally as thrown in Infinity War then, the post credit scene. I guess you were thrown by that one too then.
Well, but at that point, so at this point, I didn't know how big of a deal this was going to be. I thought this was it, right? Mm. I wasn't aware that
you thought this was going to be you thought this was the end cap?
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like. Well, I wasn't in it like I'm in it now, back then. I was ready for the next X-Men movie. I was like, can we make a good X-Men movie like this?
Question. But you watched every movie previous to that, though.
Yeah.
So you thought that this was just going to end it?
Here's the thing. I figured something was going to happen after this, right? At that point, I knew they were planning like an Iron Man 3. Right. And I was like, oh, well, they must be doing this again at some point. Right. But I thought that this was kind of, oh, we finally built up to what we were doing. And now we're just going to go back to regular movies again. And then obviously we kind of researched it and figured it out. But I remember at the time I was like, man, this is cool. I for some reason I did not understand why this was a big deal, because cinematic universes had kind of already existed, but not in this way. Like Star Wars existed, Harry Potter existed, Lord of the Rings existed. These big blockbuster movies exist already.
You forgot a major one.
What?
Star Trek.
I said major.
Major, huh? Major, huh? Like Star Wars doesn't have.
They have lightsabers and pod racing and cool spaceship battles.
Yeah, but I don't think Star Wars has. I need to check my Star. Let me see. Yeah, Star Wars doesn't have 13 movies yet.
Nope, they have 11.
Exactly. And Star
Wars 12 if you count the Clone.
Close to 13.
12 if you count the Clone Wars movie.
I'll give you that, because I actually enjoyed the Clone Wars movie.
Yeah, but does Star Trek have a horrific Christmas special?
No, thank God.
Oh, well, then what are you bragging about? I'm just kidding.
You know what?
Look, LeRon, here's the thing. There's going to be a standard def where you walk me through Star Trek, and we're going to talk about it.
I don't know if I'm ready for that. I don't know if I'm ready for that with you.
No, you're going to have to be, because this is what's going to happen. Anyways, but I remember everybody really cheering, especially in the third act when obviously they're all in New York, but they're all in different places. But then you get that big kind of circle around where they're all back to back, right? And everybody in the theater I was in stood up and was cheering.
That's awesome.
I was because I went with some people from work to a midnight showing. I think that's why I went. And I wasn't really dating anybody at the time, so I could do what I want, right? So, let's talk about the characters in this movie and kind of how they've evolved from their solo outings. We'll talk about Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He's got that really cool kind of walkway that with the circle kind of take my armor off while he's walking in.
You know what? I'm glad we're starting with him first. Because technically we should have started with Captain America, but we're starting with. Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
I actually thought about starting with Hulk because it's kind of our first major recast.
Yeah.
Well, second, I guess, but
All right, so I'm just gonna say this, and you know what? I'm gonna do something that I traditionally do on the other podcast shows I'm on. If you guys have want to have words with me about this, definitely hit me up on social media at xdis803 exodus803. All right, so this movie Avengers is in my rewatch of the movie. I realized, you know what? Tony Stark is no longer a likable character for me. Like like he's a smug prick. And and not even a smug prick in the way that you want to like smug pricks, because there are some smug pricks that you actually are like, you know what? He's an asshole, but I want to be like him when I grow up and stuff like that. This dude is a fucking jerk most of the movie.
Yeah.
And the sad part is this jerkiness of his continues in Iron Man 3, Civil War, Infinity War.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it started in Iron Man 2, technically, if you want to really talk about it. Like during the scene where he throws himself a death birthday party, you know?
Well, he's still. Well, in my opinion, though, like it still felt like he still seemed cool, like a little bit morbidly cool, but he still seemed cool.
Mhm.
Like, and, like there's just some things about it, like the only reason like let's look at his motivation. The only reason why he's in there is because like there's new technology that is like a shiny trinket, to a cat. Like there was new technology that he wanted to mess around with. He didn't care about the team. He really didn't. He really didn't. And he actually came on board the helicarrier talking all sorts of shit to everybody. And it wasn't even a respectable talk shit about them.
Yeah.
Like the only person he really seemed to like was Banner. That's the only person he seemed to like. And and that love fest, continues, throughout the series,
Mhm.
But beyond that, he never really had respect. Never really had respect for Nick Fury. He seemed like he always was trying to toss away Coulson. Thor, enough said on that one. And Captain America, apparently he was already holding his grudge, about Captain America from the way his dad used to feel about Captain America before he even met the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I disagree.
Okay. I
I
welcome the disagreement. I do.
I
Changed my mind.
I feel, besides, I would say, really only recently, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, I feel like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is the one character who has had a full character arc throughout the MCU, where each change and iteration holds through to the next film, right? So,
Mark,
like, if you look at like let's look at Thor. Like, Thor is a completely different character than when he started out. He's completely different. Thor's been all over the map. Right?
I just said the guy was unlikable. I didn't say that there was no growth or development for the guy.
But my point is, I think this movie is his lowest point. I think this movie is when he is his most dickish, if I can say that. And so I think in Iron Man 3 is when this movie, he's like, he's the biggest dog in the world, right? He's the most powerful, he's whatever. And then he finds out there are other worlds out there, and there are other more powerful beings. And so then he goes on this spiral in the next movie where he's like, I'm not the biggest, baddest in the world. And then that takes him on the rest of his character arc. And so I think he has to be completely unlikable in this movie, because his sole purpose is just to kind of mess with people. I kind of agree, I guess, in that I think he's supposed to be completely unlikable in this movie.
I'm gonna come back to this part of your conversation when we get to Age of Ultron.
Okay. Well, that's a good point, but all right. we can talk about that again, but
I mean, for me, like, he has some good moments in this movie, but I feel like some of his, and I feel this way about a lot of the character interaction in this movie, and I get they wanted this, it was a big deal to get everybody their own kind of moment in the movie, right? But I feel like a lot of it was very, and I know this is a movie and this is going to sound whatever, but scripted and very noticeably on purpose, you know. And I feel like some of his moments were very like, some of his quips were drawn on too long, like him and Captain America, like that quip in the lab before Hawkeye blows up half the ship, or
Right.
you know, the where they're fighting in the park or in the woods or whatever, right? The three of them are fighting in the woods. Like, there's some good one-liners in there, but some of it just felt like it was very too on the nose and took a little bit too long to play out. And I feel that way about a lot of Joss Whedon's kind of stuff that he's done over the years. Like, and I know what he's doing, and I know people like that kind of thing, and I know I'm in the minority of this, but I just feel like some of the character moments, quote unquote, kind of stuck around too long. You know, I know Nick Fury has a couple of lines for certain characters, like his dialogue with Loki. It just kind of draws out too long for me. Some of it, and to the point where it kind of loses its impact.
Come on. When are they not going to put Samuel L. Jackson in the movie and not give him a monologue?
No, it's not that. It's not that. It's just I feel like it's too long and too scripted. You know what I mean? Like I feel I feel like everybody is literally it's the prequel, Star Wars prequel problem almost, although not as bad because the dialogue isn't as bad, but like it literally feels like everybody's reading something off of a page for the most part. And I couldn't get that out of my head, you know, and it especially stands out when Nick Fury's talking to Loki, or when Loki and Thor are talking to each other, or even when anybody interacts with Loki or Thor, really. It just feels like, man, the only character in this movie that doesn't feel like any of his dialogue is like he's reading it is Agent Coulson. And like some of the characters do a better job of hiding it, like Robert Downey Jr. does a good job because he's just a great actor, right? But Scarlett Johansson, when she's talking to Hulk in the hut, right at the like when they go and search for him, like that just feels like a totally, I'm reading these words off of a page and they're supposed to be impactful, but they're not, because I sound like I'm reading them off of a page.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of tonal whiplash, and I think Joss Whedon was trying to. He's got all these different things, right? He's got this like super techie billionaire kind of sci-fi world, kind of very, very realistic world, meshing with this like Shakespearean, you know, gods and monsters world, meshing with this 1940s character, meshing with this super spy. And so it's like, okay, well, let's make everything kind of light and quippy and make them all sound kind of the same. And so it was a little bit jarring to see at first, and now it's kind of a trademark of the MCU. Like everything pretty much sounds all that kind of jokey banter.
Well, I don't mind the jokey banter or everything sounding like it belongs together. It literally just sounded like they were reading off of a page or off of cue cards and not delivering it in a way, you know, that I don't know. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe I'm the only one that noticed it, but yeah. I also like I do like some of Tony Stark's one-liners though, like when he calls Loki reindeer games, or when he tells Cap he's pretty spry for an old guy. You know, he does have some pretty good one-liners, and he like when he tells Hulk like, "Oh, you're whatever on this scientific topic is extraordinary," and I also am a huge fan of when you turn into a big green rage monster. Like, you know, it's very good. Some of his lines are pretty good. So, but Steve Rogers is next. I like how this movie opens with him boxing and kind of breaking the bag and him having to hang up new ones because he's just kind of overwhelmed and angry and sad.
He's pent up.
Yeah, he's feeling all these emotions and stuff from obviously being transported, literally waking up literally 70 years into the future, and the war is over, but there's a new one, and probably getting acclimated from a 1940s culture to a 2012 culture is pretty drastic, I would imagine. But what do you guys think of Steve Rogers in this movie?
What's interesting to me is the first time I watched this movie, so I wasn't really a Marvel fan. I like the Marvel movies. I was a big DC fan. This movie changed that for me. But I was like, every character that they introduced, I was like, come on, let's get to Iron Man. Like, that's the one I wanted to see. I was excited to see Iron Man again. And this time watching it, it's like every single character I see, and this is the benefit of, 10 years, 12 years later, but it's like every single character I see, like I'm so excited to see that character. I think most of all Captain America. I think Captain America is the one character who has completely done a 360 for me, because I didn't really like Captain America at first, and now he's one of my favorite characters in the MCU. And I love the way he's handled in this movie. I love that he's kind of he and in a little bit Coulson together are kind of our, like, the viewer's stand-in in the movie. Like, it's a I don't know if trope is the right word, but it's pretty standard to, especially in fantastical movies like these, to have a stand-in for the audience who's like, what's this thing and how does this work? And so you can explain it to that character rather than having to explain it to the audience. And I feel like Captain America really fills that role in this movie, of being explained to what's going on. And so I thought he was fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, I really, really like Steve Rogers. I mean, Captain America, I think, is my favorite MCU character.
Agreed. Same.
Even now. Like, I mean, I know, like, I have my favorites, but, like, he stands out as, like, because I like how he stands for what is right and not, because, like, his big obviously in Captain America First Avenger, he's Captain America. He stands for what America stands for. But as his character evolves, he kind of starts standing for what is morally right and what America should stand for, and not exactly what, some of the things the government does now stand for. And you start to see that in what will eventually become Winter Soldier and Civil War, right, as when he finds the Hydra weapons. And I think that you start seeing his mind shift into, okay, this is a different world. Who can I trust? How do I trust certain people? That kind of thing. And I like going back to this movie, knowing what happens after, that you can kind of start seeing the wheels turning and him trying to start figuring out what's going on outside of all this as well. I also like the Wizard of Oz reference, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like the one thing he understands in this world is flying monkeys reference. It's pretty good. What about you, LeRon?
Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm Team Cap.
I know. I want to know what you thought of him in this movie.
Okay, honestly, everything I definitely for sure love the fact that they actually showed how he was doing acclimating to, like, 21st century, like, the 21st century world and stuff like that. I loved it. But I also loved the fact that, two things stood out to me the most. Like, he did not want to be hyper sensationalized. He did not want people, like, fawning over him and stuff like that. So, like, when people came up to him on the helicarrier, stuff like that, he was trying to treat it like it was another day. He was especially trying to, like sidestep Coulson. Like, Coulson was his first schoolboy crush that he had to deal with, because, like, we all know the next one is Ant-Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, so there was that. He was trying to downplay all the attention he got, which I loved how they ran that arc, because he was definitely trying to downplay the attention in the beginning of the film and throughout the middle of the film. But as he stepped up and became the leader and stuff, and it was after he saved those people in the cafe and stuff.
Mhm.
Like then he was like, okay, this is what it is. This is what I am. This is what I have to be and stuff like that. And then the other thing about him is the fact that like he was the natural born leader for this team because like everybody's dysfunctional. I mean, everybody's dysfunctional. You have this rich smug motherfucker that invents everything. That's thinking that as long as he's doing his thing, because like there was three different times his movie. Well, yeah, actually no, there's two different times his movie where Stark was playing the loner, you know, and like it was one of those things. It was like okay, so how do I deal with this guy? How do I deal with this guy not want to be a team player? You have Romanoff, who she's high shield. So she's protecting everybody. She's protecting all the secrets, So it seems like she has her own agenda, You got Banner, who he truly respects, but he also he keeps away with like a 10-foot pole, because like at any time like the guy could go off, and stuff like that. Like he assesses Banner for when he will be a threat, And Banner's like very low profile, which we'll get to him in a few minutes, but and then there's Thor. Thor is just reckless, brash, stuff like that. He's with the team 1 minute, then he's doing his own thing, and he's got this mad on about making sure his brother is protected and stuff like that. So like Stark had a lot of freaking balls in play, and he was also playing a political game with Fury as well, stuff like that. So like I feel like in this movie he was the one that had the most development.
Yeah. Before we move on, I just have to say I really liked the point where he's helping Tony Stark outside. He's like, and he opens that thing, like the circuit board or something, and Tony asks him a question. He's like, "This seems to be running on some sort of electricity."
Electricity.
Well, you're not wrong.
Thor, everybody. Thor is he's still Thor in this movie.
Yeah.
Not
he's
cool
still...
Thor. He's just Thor.
Yeah,
I miss this Thor.
You do?
Yeah, I don't like the jokey Thor. I know everybody loves jokey Thor and everybody loves Ragnarok and they're all excited for Thor Love and Thunder, and I just love Shakespearean just Thor.
I mean, I like Thor overall, but I mean like this Thor, like he's actually this Thor wasn't as jokey as he was in his own movie. He was not as jokey. He was like.
I don't know. He made that adopted joke about Loki. It was pretty funny.
Yeah. He has his lines. That's Whedonism 101 though. But in all seriousness, he was really just there to collect Loki. Like he didn't care about what else was going on, and he was just playing the game with Fury, Coulson, and Shield. To get his brother back. Because. In all seriousness, I don't even think he gave a rat's ass about the Tesseract until the Tesseract became a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And how the fuck did he get to Earth? Did I miss something there?
They explain that.
No movie has. I mean, not really. It's just a line, but they don't really like. The entire premise of the third act of Thor is like destroying the
Rainbow Bridge.
What's it called? The Bifrost.
The Rainbow,
not being able to see Earth again.
Yeah. How the fuck did he get back?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. There's like a one-line thing in there. There, like Loki asked him how much magic Odin had to muster up to send him there.
I heard the line. And you know what? It's one of those things. It's like, okay, so how? So his cheat was they used the Tesseract and Loki's magic to get back.
Right. Well, and then in Thor 2, the Bifrost is completely reconstructed and everything's fine.
Yeah.
So it's never
magic.
really addressed again.
It's magic.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I don't really have much to say about Thor in this movie, really. To me, this movie was about Tony and Steve, and then the team. Like I still don't think
it was.
I think they tried to make Thor a big deal, but I don't think he really hits that level yet in this movie about, I mean, he has some cool moments like when him and Cap are fighting in the third act right together on the bridge where Thor helps him up and they're like throwing the hammer off the shield or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think Thor is as cool in this movie as Iron Man or Captain America.
Let's be serious. This movie was honestly about Tony, Steve, and Nick Fury.
Yeah.
That's what this movie was about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was Shield the movie for sure.
Yeah.
Well, which I mean, I'm all for it. I love me some Shield.
I mean, at this point in their careers, they were the three biggest actors in this movie, right? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
to be fair. I mean, I guess Jeremy Renner is a pretty big actor at this point too, but
he's
on the rise at least.
Yeah.
But everybody else is like, I mean, Scarlett Johansson wasn't exactly a huge name, really.
I think she's pretty big by this point.
Is she? Well, I mean, I guess she has a lot in this movie too.
I knew who she was, but I feel like thanks to the Marvel movies, now I'm sick of her ass.
I mean, yeah, I guess in 2012 she was bigger than I realized, but I mean, she also has a bigger part than Thor in this movie, I feel like.
Right.
So, I don't know. Anyways, let's talk about Scarlett Johansson since she's next on this list. She was fine.
I love this Black Widow. I love this movie's Black Widow. I say it like this because I feel like every other movie that Black Widow appears in is always a different fucking version of Black Widow.
Well, I kind of think that's the point of the character. Like, she doesn't know. She is so, into her super spy, being who she needs to be in the moment. She needs to be cute and flirty with Captain America to do what she needs to do. In Captain America Winter Soldier, she needs to be, whatever it is she needs to be, innocent in Iron Man 2. Like, I think that's kind of the benefit of that type of character. The writing for her is so all over the place, and she hasn't been the same person from movie to movie, but it kind of works for the character that she's playing.
Yeah, I actually really liked her solo movie.
I
did
really,
too.
really
I
liked her
did
solo
too.
movie.
I
thought it
did
was
too.
great.
But I feel like it felt a lot like it had the same vibe as something like Winter Soldier, right? And that's what I liked about it. And so
you know that more Marvel films would be like Winter Soldier. I mean, that's one of the greatest Marvel films,
I know
hands down.
it is the greatest Marvel film, hands down. I will.
I can.
I mean,
I can go on that. I can go on that.
It's my favorite. I won't say it might not be the greatest. I think Endgame is pretty big. I think it's impressive how that pulls everything together. But
out of all these MCU movies, The Winter Soldier is still my favorite movie, at least as far as the serious movies go. Because the ones that technically are not part of the main storyline, I have a favorite out of that one too. But we'll get to that in the future.
Yeah, but I really don't have a lot to say about Scarlett Johansson in this movie. She's fine. I feel like her. My favorite part is pretty much reintroducing Bruce Banner to the world. I really think her and Mark Ruffalo have a great chemistry across these movies, and I mean, I think they're meant to, but
they had a great chemistry until they didn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, so yeah, I like that, but overall, I don't really have much to say. She's acrobatic, I guess, when she's fighting the things. Also, I guess she gets credit for opening the portal back to space to close the portal, I guess. So, which I actually totally forgot that she was the one that did that.
Right.
Because the movie is so focused on the other big three characters.
They had to get the support characters something.
Yeah. Hawkeye jumped off the roof. Backwards. So.
Which, you know what, I've always known Hawkeye to be good, but damn, he was like superhuman in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, do we want to? Mark, do you have anything to say about Scarlett Johansson before we move on to Jeremy Renner? I guess we could kind of talk about them both in the same kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she Scarlett Johansson was fine. I wasn't a big Scarlett Johansson fan until this movie, and this made me I wouldn't call myself a big Scarlett Johansson fan, but I'm a fan of her stuff, and I'm a fan of her portrayal as this character. So I thought she was great.
Yeah, I can't really see Black Widow without Scarlett Johansson anymore. Like
Yeah.
I guess that actually goes for most of these characters. I just can't see like when I see the Avengers video game or I see like some comics come out or whatever, like, and it's not these these actors playing these characters, I'm just like, oh man, like it's weird, right? It's not like Batman where since the 80s we've had multiple different people play Batman, right? These are like the first real iconic versions of these characters on the big screen, right? And so it's just weird. It's just weird seeing other versions of these characters now, and even now when we're kind of shifting into a new generation of these characters, right? A new Hawkeye, a new Black Widow, a new Captain America. Even it's kind of strange not seeing these characters play them, right? Even though I love Anthony Mackie's Falcon, Captain America. I almost said Captain Falcon, but
that's a completely different continuity.
I know. And I can't wait till we get to some of the shows because I want to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier at some point.
I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier would be too new.
This is an MCU rewatch. It won't be new by the time we get to it at this phase.
Yeah, I'm just going off of what you told me when I mentioned Halo.
I did. You can do that as like a Crossroads Plus episode. The Halo show is too new to do a standard definition on. Okay.
It's fair. It's fair. I've reconciled what you said. It's fair.
Anyways,
still think you didn't have to be such a jerk about it.
I wasn't a jerk.
Just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, kind of the first real look at Hawkeye in these movies. Obviously, he showed up in Thor, but this is really the first time we see him when he's sitting up in his perch. The Hawk, he's sitting in his perch.
Right.
Like a little too on the nose, that line, but. I actually kind of like him as a sidekick villain in the first half of this movie. He's scary, man.
Yeah.
Man, he's
he wasn't. He wasn't fucking around.
No, he was not. And he poses a threat, and it's cool. It's cool because like, not only is he a very accurate bow slinger guy, shooter, whatever you want to call him, archer. There we go.
Dude, let's just say it like what he did in this movie for people who know anything about the actual MCU like movie and television universe canon. He basically introduced Hydra. He basically introduced the modern day version of Hydra.
Well, there's a couple people that show up as Hydra on the helicarrier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
This is more like an Easter egg, like because he talks about how S.H.I.E.L.D. has all these enemies and stuff, and he basically soft launched Hydra in the modern age for the audience's viewing, not because Hydra's out there.
Yeah.
Right.
Mark, what do you think of Hawkeye?
I mean, I thought he was kind of wasted in this movie just because he was hypnotized the entire time or mind controlled or whatever. And so I think, honestly, the character of Hawkeye throughout the MCU until his own show was kind of just never really fully realized, was just kind of there. And I mean, they gave him some background that was nice in Age of Ultron, but he just kind of got shuffled around, it feels like, a little bit until he got his own excellent show.
Yeah.
To
that point, it felt like they never really figured out what to do with him.
Really. Right.
To your point.
And he, famously was upset about his role in Avengers because he signed up to be this Avenger superhero, whatever, and then he's just basically a mind-controlled lackey for most of the film. And I thought that there was there could have been a lot of great potential for some really deep stuff with, like, you know, one of Shield's own coming in and like destroying Shield, and you know, he knows everyone there, and he's friends with Black Widow, and they didn't really mind. I mean, there's a lot going on in this movie, but there could have been a lot of really emotionally impactful storytelling that could have been told with his characters specifically, and that he was like, you know, he knew where to shoot on the ship to bring down the ship, to do like all of these things, but they didn't really explore that. So I feel like it was a missed opportunity. It would have been too long and misplaced. So I understand why they didn't do it, but there just was this really great emotional story to tell that they didn't, with him fighting against those that he loves. So
yeah,
I don't know. He was fine.
All right, guys. The second major recasting in the MCU, Mark Ruffalo as the new Bruce Banner. I love Mark Ruffalo in this movie.
Yeah, I thought he was great.
I love him as Bruce Banner. I think he's great. I really liked Edward Norton's Bruce Banner, but they're two like kind of totally different takes on the character almost, and I really, really like Mark Ruffalo's take on Banner. So
Same. And actually, I feel like they actually did a better job of fleshing him out as an actual genius, you know, with Avengers. Like, because I mean, let's look at it for what it is. Like, you know, like the Incredible Hulk movie was good. It was a pretty decent action movie. It was like that, but you know, like but basically they were just focusing on the fact that he was always on the run, and he wasn't really like doing smart guy shit. You know, the only smart guy shit he was doing was trying to cure himself, which is not bad. Is not bad. Trust me, it's not anything to be damning, you know, about for that film. Yeah. But I mean, like the guy was on his way to literally recreating the super soldier serum, which is why he became the Hulk. So like, this dude's actually smart.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So seeing him do more smart guy shit, you know, messing with the scepter, you know, things like that. Yeah. Like, and the fact that him and Tony like immediately had a bro fest as soon as they met in that lab.
Right.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first kind of transformation into Hulk too. I feel like his Hulk looks probably the most real out of it, like out of the
yeah.
Like this is the third iteration of big screen Hulk we've seen, really.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I guess fourth if you count Lou Ferrigno, but
okay. I mean, let's be serious. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, with the work they put into like the CG for him and everything, he actually looks very similar to the Hulk in the comic books.
Yeah. Well, he actually looks a lot like Mark Ruffalo, which is great. I mean, I know like the motion capture.
That too.
A lot of the motion capture and stuff Mark Ruffalo actually did. And like they actually, if you watch the behind the scenes stuff for the animation of this version of Hulk, they actually use Mark Ruffalo's face as a base for the Hulk's face. And that's why obviously throughout the MCU, the Hulk looks a lot like Mark Ruffalo if Mark Ruffalo was the Hulk. So I really liked it. It's great. Also, when he falls out of the ship and he's like he lands naked and the guy asks him if he's an alien.
Yeah.
Guess nude.
He's like, son, I think you have a condition.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
And then also a great scene when he shows up in New York and he's like, this is nice. And Cap tells him to suit up and like, you know, he's like, my secret is I'm always angry or whatever. That's such a cool...
Oh, he was like Banner, get angry.
Yeah. Also, when the Hulk kind of uses Loki as like a just throws him around like a rag doll.
A rag doll.
Oh, it's so good. That scene's good. When him and Thor are kind of having that bro moment, and then he just punches him out of the scene. That's really good.
Yeah, it gave Hulk like some character, not just being some big CG monster who runs around.
Yeah.
It made him like an actual character, which was nice.
Yeah. Also, when he's chasing Black Widow through the helicarrier is terrifying.
That was tense.
He's terrifying. That's so scary. Yeah. Like, he's so fast.
Yeah.
Like, you always think of the Hulk as like this big brooding monster who destroys everything, but he's fast. He's fast.
He will wreck your shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But then like the fight scene with Thor after that is pretty cool. I think it's cool when Thor pins him down with the hammer and he realizes he can't pick the hammer up. That scene's really cool. And just the way like he gets tossed around there and like he breaks some airplanes, and it just kind of shows you how big he is and how destructive he is, even when he's not trying to break stuff. You know? I don't know. I really like the Hulk in this movie, and I'm not even a big Hulk fan. So, yeah. Anybody else have anything to say on the Hulk?
Nope.
Great.
Nope.
I thought it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great too.
Nick Fury, played again by Samuel L. Jackson, very capably. Again, another character I can't think of without seeing Samuel L. Jackson. Even though most of the versions of this character before Samuel L. Jackson was a white guy. Even though I think there's like a canonical version of Nick Fury that is white and this is his son or something. I don't know. Somebody's way smarter than me could probably figure that out. But how do we all feel about Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury?
First of all, is there anything negative to say?
I mean, I don't have anything negative to say.
Wait, you have something negative to say, Mark?
No. I'm saying, I agree. Is there anything
okay.
negative to say?
No,
I think he's fantastic.
I think Samuel L. Jackson was kind of like born to play Nick Fury. I think he's great.
Yeah.
I think he's great.
Agreed.
What I do love is the fact that they actually let Samuel L. Jackson do his thing. Unlike
Mace Windu in Star Wars.
you can pick out when his line was ad-libbed. You can pick him out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He's very Samuel L. Jackson in this movie, but it's like a aimed Samuel L. Jackson, right? They're like, hey, as long as you kind of aim your Samuel L-ness in this direction, will probably be okay.
To get from A to B, but however you want to get there,
you
just go, as long as you say this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It actually makes me excited for his show. What is it? Secret Invasion? Is that the show that he's in?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. Right. I bet he's in other shows too, but like that's his show.
Right.
That's
when we know we'll see him next.
Yeah. Maria Hill, played by Kobe Smulders of How I Met Your Mother fame.
Okay, now here we go. Because of this movie, I am now a Kobe Smulders fan. I'm still not watching How I Met Your Mother, but
why?
Everything else,
that show's so good.
You know what? I think, without getting too deep into it, I've always had a problem with watching shows on CBS. Shows on CBS have never really seemed to gotten my, grab me, to the point. Yeah, like the only CBS show I think I can say I religiously watched was NCIS, and I only watched that when I was rerunning on USA.
Isn't Star Trek owned by CBS or the parent company?
Well, Star Trek used to be owned by Paramount.
Right.
Like way back in the day, Star Trek used to be a Paramount property, and then CBS and Viacom snapped up Paramount, and then there was this big fight about different franchises, so it wound up like that Star Trek the series wound up under the CBS banner, and Star Trek the movies stayed under Paramount. So it's this crazy shit. But guess what? Star Trek is the exception, as far as I'm concerned, because like I said, I've had people try to throw CBS shows on me throughout the years, like Big Bang Theory is another one. They're like, dude, this is so you. And every time I watch an episode of that show, I'm like, this is so fucking stupid. Like,
Yeah.
like the only like they try too hard. Even like they try too hard to hit the fandom, and that's the problem. I tell people, I'm like, just because I'm a fan of these things that they're always like mingling back and forth with doesn't mean I'm going to like the show. And true enough, like every Star Trek episode they've had that I've actually tried to sit down and watch, I did not like it. And all these other fandom shows, because I think they did a Battlestar Galactica one at one point, and I was like, nope. Yeah, so you know, it's weird. You know, I guarantee if they tried to do Monster Hunter, I would have absolutely hated it.
That's fair. Anyways, she's great. I wish she had more screen time. I think she plays the perfect side. I want to see like a buddy cop show with her and Nick Fury. So
there's definitely like history there, and I feel like she's very underutilized because she's got like presence, and she did a good job in the role. So I'd like to see more of her.
Yeah. Was she in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all, LeRon?
Yes, she was.
She was in a couple episodes, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait,
she
in the very
definitely
first
sets up
episode.
the whole show, right? Yeah.
No, she's not. No, she's not she's not in the whole show. No.
No, but I said she sets up the whole show. She's in the first episode.
Yeah,
like, she's
in
the connective tissue between the movie and the.
She's in 4 episodes of season 1, and then I think that's the last that we see her. After that,
yeah.
And well, at least for the series, like the movies, we all know, like.
All right, so we have just a few more here. I know we kind of been running long a little bit, but that's okay. Agent Coulson from Clark Gregg obviously is just kind of like the connective tissue.
The heart of the movie.
Yeah. He's great. I love him in this movie. I like when he's telling Captain America about his trading cards, and he's like, I was the first one there. I was watching you while you were sleeping.
While you were sleeping.
I was there when we found you in the ice.
Not creepy at all, but
yeah.
But I love Coulson because Coulson is that same nerdy guy through and through. Like every time we see him, he's a nerd. He's a fanboy. He's a born leader. Like everything that he does, like he has authority behind it, but it's so behind this veneer of like I'm just a good guy. I just want to be cool. And I'm in the right job because I get to geek out about all this shit.
Yeah. He's I think he's probably, if you were to ask me to pick who the best character in this entire movie is, he's going to be in the conversation. I don't know if he wins, but he's going to be in the conversation for sure. I love when he uses the big what is it, the destroyer weapon
that
thing?
Gun?
Yeah,
that gun.
It's hilarious. And he's just like, after he gets stabbed or whatever, and he still uses it, he's like, oh, that's what it does.
Yeah.
He's still making jokes as he's quote unquote dying in the movie.
Right.
And that gun does make another appearance in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I figured it did. But yeah, Agent Coulson is awesome.
Hell yeah.
Mark, do you have anything else to say about Agent Coulson?
No, I think he's great. I think he's the perfect character for Joss Whedon's sensibilities. Like he has been in other films, but he's been in very, very, very minor roles, and so it doesn't seem off when he's got that kind of banter or when he's quirky like that or whatever. It's like he's the perfect character for that, and it really is a nice entry point into the movie. And so he does a great job. And I'm bummed that he never really, I mean, I know he's in Captain Marvel, but he never really got to interact with these characters again.
Yeah.
Because his interaction with them was the heart of the movie. And so.
Yeah. Very sad that he did not continue his MCU journey.
Right.
I really would have liked to seen him come through the portal in the Avengers.
Could you imagine? It's just him with a gun. Here I am.
Or like him or like him with the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like that would have been a cool kind of nod to that show. But
right.
Professor Selvig, played again by Stellan Skarsgård, he's just awesome. And he's in the new Andor show, the new Star Wars show, which I'm pretty excited about.
Him and his son. Him and his son.
Sons.
Well,
Sons.
wait.
Two of 'em.
Okay. I just saw the Northman. The Northman last weekend. Good fucking film, by the way.
Yeah.
With that's Peter Skars.
That's Alexander Skarsgård, right?
Yeah, Alexander. Alexander. Who's the and who's the other son?
Bill.
The other son is Bill.
Yeah.
I haven't really seen a lot with him recently, but I know they're all getting work.
He's
and
in
stuff,
it.
Damn.
Isn't he it?
He's Pennywise. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's not that recent.
It is. It was like 3 years ago.
And then there's Gustav, Bill, Walter.
Okay.
Sam.
Well, I guess I just don't look for that guy. I guess that's what that is. But all I know is that family keeps getting work.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But they're wonderful actors.
Yeah, he's so good. I love that he is actually still part of the MCU. I love this guy. He's great.
Yeah. He's
I
a goof.
I guess last but not least, we should probably talk about the main villain of this movie, Loki, played again very capably by Tom Hiddleston. And
this movie would have failed without Tom Hiddleston, I feel like.
yeah, he go ahead.
I mean, that was a swing. Like, they cast two unknowns for Thor. Thor did fine, but it didn't set the world on fire. And they made Loki the big villain, and it's like it could have been a huge train wreck. But he brings such that gravitas that he brought to Loki. I mean, to Thor, to this role and in this movie, and just it's really, really well done. I mean, he did an amazing job in this movie and continues to do an amazing job in the MCU to this day.
Yeah. To me, he is definitely, he feels like in this movie, I would equate his presence and his kind of the way he plays this character almost to like the way that people probably thought about Darth Vader's in the 70s and 80s. He's very scary. He's very methodical. He's very because I remember when Force Awakens came out, and the big kind of, I wouldn't say knock on Kylo Ren, but the big thing was like he's such the opposite of Darth Vader, where he's very chaotic. He's very outlandish. He's very kind of sporadic in his anger. And Darth Vader was always like this very methodical, very strategic. Everything he did was planned. And I feel like Loki is that character for the MCU, where he's very methodical. He's very strategic. He's always 1, 2, 3, 4, even 4 steps ahead of most of the characters in this movie at all times. And that makes him very scary and a very formidable opponent. Like he's great.
Right.
I love him in this movie. So. LeRon. Oh, sorry. Mark, did you have something to say, Mark?
No,
go
ahead.
I agree.
I'm also the same thing. Like, honestly, this movie was very well put together with all the characters they had. True. Hawkeye felt kind of throw off, and like the only way we really gleamed like anything was going on was just, as far as Hawkeye's character was just, like they would throw hints that he and Nat had history and all that stuff. But honestly, Loki was a great central villain. He was a great central villain for this film. He already had a different feel to him versus his first outing in Thor, which is crazy because I feel like he was just as good in Thor. He was just more of like the arch villain, in Thor, where in this one he's the real villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like, even the scepter like makes him very scary. Him taking control of some of the characters in this, and I think also the scene where he tries to take Iron Man over and he hits the
yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm glad you said something about that, Corey.
Yeah, it's so funny because Iron Man has that, or Tony Stark has that big quip of like performance issues, and You know,
Right.
one
Yeah.
out of three. You know, which is funny because he took over two people, and obviously Tony Stark was the third, so it makes sense in this movie that he made that joke. It's a very well timed joke. Also, his kind of presence when they go to Germany and they, you know, he kind of picks that guy up and slams him on the table and like puts that machine in his eye, right? That's a very gross scene, even though you don't really see anything.
Right.
But it just shows that he's powerful and willing to do things, and also the transformation of the suit when he walks outside is very cool.
That's such a cool freaking effect.
Yeah. I like Loki when he's in like a suit and has just like hints of green, like the scarf was a very cool I'm Loki but not Loki right now kind of
like
look.
Human Loki.
Yeah. But man, when that suit transforms into the Loki costume and you see the horns kind of form around his head and his helmet, right? That scene is really cool.
I really feel like his performance in this movie alone kind of put Tom Hiddleston on the map.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, it definitely
in this film alone, because he'd been around for a while, and of course, you know, there was Thor, but I feel like Thor was so lukewarm with people that, you know, like he didn't shine.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. So yeah, are there anything else you want to say about Loki or any of the other kind of characters in this movie?
I do want to mention something. Okay, so the council that Fury was answering to, right?
Uh-huh.
There's a council person in there, played by Powers Booth.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He is the major Hydra bad guy in season 3 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably about the time Winter Soldier was coming out, right? Or right
it was
after
after Winter Soldier. It was after Winter Soldier. As a matter of fact, no. This is more set up for after Age of Ultron.
Okay.
Yeah. But I just want people that are listening out there, if you didn't get the correlation, because some people may not have even realized that was going on. He's played by Powers Booth. That's Gideon Malik.
Right.
In the canon. He's not, his name, none of their names are mentioned there, and I think there was probably one other person in that council. I think it was the other woman that was talking to Fury and, you know, trying to give orders to as well and stuff. I think she's also Hydra, but I can't say for sure. But I know for sure, like, the main guy that was talking to Fury throughout from the council, that's Gideon Malik.
Right.
And I'm actually so glad that they actually like brought him back, because he was like a faceless, nameless person in the movie in Avengers. And, you know, the fact that they brought him back, you know, and rest in peace, Powers Booth, because he did die a few years ago. Like, but Gideon Malik is like, he's like in my opinion, he's one of the better heads of Hydra. Like, because they get to flesh him out in like the show.
Yeah, and he's a great actor, so he has a lot of presence. So he was good. In that show, and it was a nice way. It was an easy way for them to, especially as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got further and further along into the show. Like, it became more and more difficult for them to have ties to the MCU, and so this was a nice way for them to continue to have ties to the MCU without having like Robert Downey Jr. show up in the show, or Nick Fury or whatever.
Not that this is important to this show, but did anybody show up from the movies in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yep.
Nick Fury did.
Well, Agent Sitwell.
I meant like any of the real characters.
Lady Sif did.
Lady Sif, yeah. Like, she was in 3 episodes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Nick Fury was in 1.
He was in 2.
Oh, he was?
He was in 2.
But that was really it. I mean, it became more and more difficult to tie into with like the shooting schedule and stuff.
Yeah, and also
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is like a network show, and so it's got 24 episodes. 24 episodes per season. It's really difficult to tie that into the movie release schedule.
Another Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Easter egg that happened in Avengers when Tony was trying to avoid Coulson at the very beginning of the film.
Oh yeah.
And like, you have reached the life model decoy of Tony Stark.
I thought what you were gonna say was when Pepper in that scene is like, you have homework, I'm going to take the jet. She asks Coulson to take her to the airport.
Yeah.
And then you hear her off screen saying, "Are you still dating the cellist?"
Yes,
and he says,
too.
"No, she broke up
Yes.
with me." There's a whole episode where the cellist comes in
in season 1. In season 1 of
so
Shield.
That was a big deal that Shield would do to try to tie into the MCU. Is it became more and more difficult to get these giant characters.
Yeah, Joss Whedon was the executive producer for the first 4 seasons of Shield. Like, I mean, his name is still on the executive producer credits, but he was basically hands off by the time season 4 ended.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, the life model decoy thing, that is a major plot device for season 4 of Agents of Shield. A major plot device.
Yeah.
Life model decoys. Actually, you know what? Oh God, you guys are gonna hate my rating for this movie when we get to it now, because man, there was so much in this film that just laid the seeds for like a whole bunch of future stuff, including TV universe, that I was like, man, this is too good. This is too good.
Yeah. So, is there anything else about this movie? I mean, there's a lot of things we didn't really hit on, like the scene between Loki and Black Widow. Where they kind of talk about unleashing the Hulk. We didn't really talk about the last act of the movie.
I loved in that conversation that her and Loki had, where they were talking about all the red that was in her ledger.
Uh-huh.
I loved that part. That part is so powerful because her mentioning that in this film set the whole tone for how Natasha is for the rest of her run in MCU.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned the little girl. He mentioned her.
Right.
Yes.
So it's the entire plot of Black Widow, the movie.
Yes,
is
he mentioned
in that scene.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
I know that the scene, obviously, like the last third of the movie is the Battle of New York, and there's one chunk of that battle where it's not a continuous shot, but it is shot as if it is a continuous shot, where you just follow, and there's like pairs of people. There's like Thor and Hulk on top of one of the Leviathans fighting people, and then they follow Thor, and Thor meets up with Captain America, and then they're fighting together, whatever, and then Captain America runs off and joins up with Iron Man, and it's like it's just like this really beautifully choreographed dance.
Mm-hmm. It's like ballet.
Yes, and it was like it reminded me a lot of those amazing scenes in Daredevil, where those one-shot scenes, like the hallway scene or the prison riot scene.
That was some good shit. Yes,
but it's like, I mean, that right there, like I just feel like if you were gonna go to a studio and have like a 5-minute pitch and be like, I want to make a superhero movie, like that's the pitch. Is you see these characters who we've brought to life before, and you have history with them, and you know what they can do, and you know who they are, and then you just see them interact with each other and play off of each other. And Iron Man's using Captain America's shield to reflect off of and hit other people, and all of these crazy things that are happening. And it's like I said at some other point earlier in this podcast episode, where I was like, I was a big DC fan before this movie, and that I don't know, 7-minute chunk of the Battle of New York itself, starting basically from when they circle up, was like, it made me a Marvel fan for life. Like this was comic books brought to life. This was heroes in front of our eyes. This was like just perfect. It was just perfect. And no scene, and I will stand by this, not even the portal scene in Avengers Endgame, I think comes close to what this scene was able to accomplish. Because
what are you talking about? The comic book, the legit comic book moment in Age of Ultron when they're in that winter forest. Come on.
Go back when we go back and watch it. The CG in that moment is so bad, is so unrealistic, that it completely removes me from that part. And there is nothing, like, yes, there's nameless bad guys that they're fighting, and yes, there's CG monsters or whatever, but it's like everything feels so real, and there's nothing. it just is just movie magic in that moment. And so
Okay.
I think that is just the score, everything is so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't argue with any of that. Even your whole thing about the circular scene where they're all squared up and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even let's talk about when they squared up on Loki at the very end.
Yeah, that's pretty funny too. Yeah, I mean, I think the last act of the movie is just really. I like big, long action scenes, and I can feel your guys' eyes roll into the back of your head when I'm about to say it, but it's okay. I actually think one of my favorite long action scenes in movies is the fight in Chicago in the third Transformers movie, and like
I haven't seen it.
I think it is. Say what you will about Michael Bay. I think his action scenes and his special effects scenes are very well done in movies, and so like to that point, like I think that scene in that third Transformers movie is really fun to watch, even if you're not a fan of those movies. And this was the first time since that movie that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like at the edge of my seat watching this huge CG action scene. I want to make that clear. CG action scene, which because obviously a lot of this is CG, but like it didn't feel like it. To your point, Mark, it just felt like everything felt so real. It felt so done with a purpose, and it was just really well done.
Yeah,
I loved it. So, well, everybody, does anybody have a least favorite moment in this movie that they need to talk about, or should we just talk about the credit scenes?
I'm trying to think if I had a least favorite moment. I can't really think. Nothing really stuck out at me as like it was just bad to the point where I didn't like it or nothing like that. You know,
Yeah.
like one of my favorite parts of the movie was when Steve was talking. I mean, I'm sorry, Tony was talking to Bruce, and he prods him with like an electrical probe.
Oh yeah,
right.
And Steve was like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and then Banner's like, "Don't worry, if I couldn't handle pointy things, I wouldn't have come on the show."
But what's so funny? What's so funny about the scene is like he goosed him with that electrical probe.
Yeah.
And then like Banner like starts laughing.
Yeah. Also, like, when you see the ship start its engines up, and Steve thinks it's a submarine, and they have that back and forth of like, oh, they think having me submerged in a big metal container is safe, and then and then you just see it rise out of the water, and he's like, oh yeah, this is better.
I will say there is a scene in every Avengers movie, and this is the problem with characters like Thor and like Superman, like they like super strong characters. They don't really know what to do with. And so there's a scene in Notice when we watch the rest of the Avengers movies with Thor in particular, where time slows down around Thor particularly while other things are going on, and Thor is just doing something nonsensical. In this movie, it's when he falls in the prison and is on the ground and then decides, let's make a new suit, and walks for 5 minutes to go pick up Mjolnir, the hammer that can magically return to his hands.
Yeah.
And so it's like it spans, like so much stuff happens up on the helicarrier and elsewhere, and he's just walking to get this thing. In Age of Ultron, it's him taking a bath with his shirt off, trying to see what's going to happen.
That was for the fans.
Listen, I'm not going to argue with that, but I'm just saying it's like every Avengers movie, there's just some really dumb, nonsensical moment where it's like Thor's off doing nothing, and then because he has to be away so that he can then come back and be triumphant, right?
Yeah.
In Infinity War, he's on the Star forging together Stormbreaker, and so it's just notice next time. There's always a moment.
You were right.
I mean, even in Thor: Love and Thunder, he's like, I feel like Thor. Every purpose of Thor is like, I'm trying to find myself in this movie that I'm in, and it's like, You've been in the most movies out of the major three characters. Like you.
Plus, bro, you have your own movies. Why aren't you doing this there?
Yeah. So, yeah, whatever. All right. Mid and after credit scene. Obviously, the after credit scene is them eating shawarma. Fun fact: Chris Evans had a beard in that scene, which is why he's covering it, and they put a prosthetic face piece on, and he's the only one not eating in the scene.
Yeah.
Because he's like holding the prosthetic.
He was filming another.
I was wondering why he was sitting there just looking all bored.
Yeah, because he's holding the prosthetic on his face because they didn't really put it on correctly.
Yeah,
well, because they filmed it. They had the premiere, and then it was like the world's premiere.
Yeah,
and then it was coming into theaters like that weekend or something, and so they filmed it the night of the premiere, the night after the premiere.
Yeah, and so he's like sitting there holding the prosthetic on his face, which is really funny.
I always wondered why he wasn't eating, because you would think him trying to like get caught up on everything like that's happening in the world right now, he would have been eating.
Yeah. But the mid-credit scene is the one, obviously, that kind of sets up the entire rest of what's going to happen, right? And so the mid-credit scene shows Thanos for the first time.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go first, and because I had no idea who Thanos was when I saw this, and I didn't understand why the theater I was in was cheering so loud.
Yeah, me too.
So, but obviously, after I got invested in this, I had to like figure it out. But LeRon,
I feel this way with every like post-credit scene where a big major like future character is introduced, because I'm not a comic book reader, and so I don't really know what's coming. So every character that's introduced, I'm like, well, okay, let me go home and look this up and see who this is. Like it just happened with minor spoiler alert with Doctor Strange. Like in the post-credit scene, I was like, I don't know who this person is. Let me go look up who this person is. So it's like, for people like me, I feel like it happens every single time. Who's this new person?
Every time a new character that has not been established in this universe shows up, I have to look them up.
Right.
Oh my god! I guess I'm the true Marvel nerd here.
Yeah,
nerd. I knew exactly who Thanos was. Like, but I'll tell you how I knew.
Why is McDonald's opening restaurants in space? He looks like Grimace, angry Grimace.
Okay, you threw me for a second there. I was like, what? Like I knew who Thanos was, but honestly, a little bit of trivia about me. Like the only reason why I really knew who Thanos was because of I'm a Capcom fighting game person, and he was the bad guy in Marvel Superheroes. Yeah, so I knew about him. I knew about that damn gauntlet and all those damn rings because it's a central thing in that actual game. So yeah, that's how I knew him.
Yeah.
Broken as fuck boss.
Look, if these characters didn't show up in like the 3 runs of X-Men comics I was reading during the 90s, I didn't know who they were. So.
Oh yeah, well no, like Thanos has been in X-Men comics before our time, Corey, and I've been reading X-Men for a long damn time.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's never returned, and it seems like X-Men always spawns their own bad guys, you know.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean that obviously this sets up something huge. At the time, I didn't know. Obviously, it became the biggest thing in the entire world. So. Yeah. Anyways, let's rank this movie. So right now our standings are as follows. Number 5, Incredible Hulk. Number 4, Iron Man 2. Number 3, Thor. Number 2, Iron Man, and number 1, Captain America: The First Avenger.
Captain America is in danger.
I kind of feel that way, although I actually disagree with that. I would actually put it probably under Iron Man. But so is it better than Incredible Hulk? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is it better than Iron Man 2?
Yes.
Yes. Is it better than Thor?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it better than Iron Man?
I really hate to say this, but personally for me, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is it better than Captain America?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's one for Captain America. What about you, LeRon?
Is it better than Captain America?
Yeah.
This is a struggle. But I'm going to say Captain America is still holding strong right now.
Ooh. This is the most bizarre list.
I know this list is not how I thought this was gonna go.
Captain America is still holding strong in my opinion, because guess what? Captain America is basically the prequel to this film. Like the Captain America film was established to let us know that this guy was going to be the leader for the Avengers.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, personally, I think Iron Man's probably a better movie for me personally than this, but this is going to sit at number 2. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
Trust me, there are going to be other in-cap Marvel movies that are going to screw this whole thing
I
up.
actually think that most of this list is going to be towards the bottom by the time we're done with MCU.
For real.
It's just so quaint to have all these movies kind of be Avengers movies straight up now. So, yeah. All right, so our current ranking, our final ranking of Phase 1 is number 6, Incredible Hulk, number 5, Iron Man 2, number 4, Thor, number 3, Iron Man, number 2, Avengers, number 1, Captain America, the First Avenger, which I'm happy Captain America's at number 1 because it's still my favorite Phase 1 movie, but like this list is shocking
a bonkers
me.
List.
Yeah, this is a bonkers list.
To be fair, Thor's only as high as it is because it's Mark's favorite. So.
Because it's so good.
No, it's. Oh my gosh!
I can't wait till we get to the Dark World, because like everyone's trying to convince me it's the worst Thor movie. So like I haven't seen.
A lot of people are
seen
convincing me it's the worst movie. Like I haven't seen it since it came out.
Yeah,
so,
I haven't seen this movie in a long while, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So before we get out of here, here's the kind of overall encapsulation of what we're doing for Phase 2. So we're actually not starting with Iron Man 3. We're starting with why does it say Captain Carter? Agent Carter seasons 1 and 2. Each season will be its individual episode, but we will rank the show in total among the other movies. So Iron Man 3 will be after Agent Carter, Thor: The Dark World, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Man, we gotta wait like so long to do Captain America. Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers: Age of Ultron, and wrap up Phase 2 with Ant-Man. So there's our Phase 2, what's coming from the MCU rewatch ranking list. Are there any other shows we want to do besides, like, not talking like the Disney Plus shows right now, but are there any other shows that we want to kind of include in this list? I know we kind of talked about it already, but like some things have been announced since we kind of talked about it, like a 4th season of Daredevil coming to Disney Plus.
I would say I would think we should wait and see if it truly is a 4th season, or if it is just another season of a character and the same actor who played him, but it's not in continuity. Because I feel like for those Netflix shows, they're not going to be in continuity with what existed before.
Well, I thought they said that it was a continuation, but a new story. I thought is what they said.
Yeah, I think that is what they said, but
what does that actually mean? Like,
right.
So.
I would love to do Daredevil because that's I think my favorite thing that the MCU has done. But yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about it off air, but this is what Phase 2 is looking like. So, do we? Maybe at the beginning of the first season of Agent Carter, we'll do like a predictions of where we think our Phase 2 list kind of lands. even though I have a pretty good idea looking at this list of how my list would go.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's going to do it for phase 1 of our MCU rewatch. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. Remember to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen. Mark, LeRon, thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
A little bit longer than I anticipated, but that's okay.
Yeah, I thought this was going to run really fast.
I mean, this is a big movie.
Yeah.
So, Mark, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @acceptinperera, and you can find me over at Boss Rush, occasionally writing things for Boss Rush, entertainment and video game stuff.
LeRon?
You can find me everywhere, basically. Just follow EXODUS803, Exodus803. So, social media, Twitch, YouTube, gamertag, yeah.
Things.
Yeah.
You can find me at I am Corey HT on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, Standard Def, After Dark, various other things here on the Boss Rush Network. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
Take care of yourselves.